The attack on a referee in Owerri during a recent NPFL game brings the issue of security at match venues to the fore once again, reports. TANA AIYEJINA Nigerian referee Yusuf Garba is perhaps still thanking his stars for being alive today. Last Monday, the Nigerian Professional Football League ref was almost killed by irate fans after Heartland were held 1-1 at the Dan Anyiam Stadium, Owerri, by champions Plateau United. The ref sustained several wounds from the attack, including a cut on his head. Garba's offense: he had the audacity to allow an added-time goal by the visitors, which tied the game 1-1. Abiodun Thompson had put the hosts ahead early on, but Tosin Omoyele grabbed the equalizer in the last minute of added time for the visitors, to the consternation of the home fans, who pounced on Garba. It has been the fate of refs in the hands of irate fans in the Nigerian league in recent times. In fact, this season alone refs have been attacked on at least 4 occasions. Players and club officials are not exempted from the brutality at match venues. League top scorer, Junior Lokosa, collapsed while an official escaped with a minor injury after former champions Kano Pillars held Katsina United 2-2 at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium on the opening day of the season. Katsina fans, who are allegedly irked by Sani Mohammed's officiating, attacked the visiting team, throwing objects at them. Pillars spokesman Idris Malikawa said, "Everything was going well until the final whistle when the fans started throwing objects at our players and officials. When it got out of hand, the policemen at the stadium had to use tear gas to control the crowd, and in the process, Junior Lokosa and one of our medical officials got injured. Lokosa actually fainted and we had to revive him later." The following day, the negative trend continued at the Lafia City Stadium, where champions Plateau United confronted homeside Nasarawa United. Angry fans assaulted Nasarawa chairman, Isaac Danladi, and lady ref Mimisan Ayor. He was virtually stripped naked after the Lafia club lost 1-0 at home to champions Plateau in their opening tie of the NPFL season. It was not a pleasant day. Referees Abubakar Abdullahi, Tajiri Digbori, Ayorhi and Aminu Saliu were held hostage at the end of the first half. They were stoned and hit by irate fans, sports journalist, Amar Ignis, said. The same scenario repeated itself at the end of the match, and Ayorhi had her uniform almost torn to shreds. Chairman of Nasarawa was slapped, his ears seriously pulled in pains and his cap removed. In February, referee Damian Akur and his assistants Emmanuel Apina and Luis Guantana were attacked after full time by Akur fans, who were unhappy after Sunshine Stars were held 0-0 by Pillars, the first time the Ueno Waves failed to win a game at home this season. Sunshine Stars media officer, Chris Okuniwa, however, debunked the allegation, saying that an object thrown from the stands by a fan hit the affected official in the face. Scene of violence at an NPFL game. Honestly, the referees were not attacked or assaulted physically. There was no way that would have happened due to the heavy security presence on ground at the stadium, he said. The Akur club have been heavily fined and sanctioned by the LMC in recent times due to the unruly behavior of their fans at the Akur sports complex. They were banished to the Otunba Depot Stadium, Ijebu-Ode last season over crowd violence and only returned to Akur this season. Fans' violence is not restricted to the top flight alone. Recently, organizers of the Nationwide League One punished Mighty Jets Feeders over violence recorded in their 2-1 win over Aklos Endi in their season opener. Angry fans assaulted the ref and his assistants at halftime after Aklos Endi scored a 40th-minute goal. The match officials fled to the dressing room and refused to resume officiating for the second half until they were convinced by the match commissioner to return to the pitch. Jets Feeders were banished to Abuja for their next 3 home games and fined N$100,000. Shola Oganowo, the chief operating officer of the NLO, condemned the fans' act. It was very abnormal for some fans of Mighty Jets of Yosh to beat the referee and his assistants at the end of the first half. It is wrong, it is anti-football, and it negates what we set to achieve this season in the Nationwide League One, and we have no option than to apply the necessary sanctions. Oganowo said. We will not condone any active violence at our league venues, and neither are we going to fold our hands and watch our match officials being assaulted and beaten just because some teams are aiming for promotion at all cost when the league has just began, he added. Spokesman, League Management Company, Harry Iwala, insisted that the police and not the league organizers are responsible for the provision of security at match venues. Heartland are supposed to provide a minimum of 50 policemen for the game as stipulated by the rules. It's a global trend that security people shouldn't carry arms at match venues, but when there's a serious problem, you can call for tear gas or any other security object needed for such a task. But why won't a DPO, divisional police officer, deploy enough security personnel to a venue where you have about 3,000 people? It's a security issue and the police should be asked the question, Aiyiejina stated. But the public relations officer of the Imo State Police Command, Andrew Nworim, said since police officers are not allowed to carry arms inside match venues, it would be difficult to halt the disturbing trend of crowd violence. What happened was not because of the police. We deployed adequate number of policemen for the match, though I don't know the exact number. Ordinarily, there's nothing you can do in such a situation, especially when policemen are not armed inside the stadium. What we did was to make sure the situation didn't get out of hand and the referees were rescued by the police security operatives, Nworim said in a telephone interview on Saturday. The LMC meted out punishment to the Owerri club, deducting 3 points from them as punishment for their fans' attack on Garba, and will play their next 3 home matches behind closed doors. As a result, the Owerri club now have 15 points from 18 matches and are back to the bottom of the standings. Atlanta '96 Olympics gold medalist Mobio Periku, who is Heartland's team manager, was suspended for 10 matches. But close followers of the country's football league feel the punishment to wearing clubs has not been stiff enough, saying it gives fans the audacity to beat up opponents, players and officials at will. Aiyiejina disagrees, saying the league body has followed the rules to the letter in punishing both erring clubs and fans. At a time, punishment for armed robbery was life imprisonment and even death sentence, but it didn't stop robbery. It's the same situation in the league. Before, the LMC wasn't deducting points from clubs who erred, but we started it this season. Some feel the clubs involved should be demoted, but that's not in our rules. Quote, even though football violence has not been completely ruled in other parts of the world, serious measures and sanctions are applied in Europe and other parts of the Western world to stem the tide. For instance, PAOK president Ivan Savitas was banned from football for 3 years for carrying a gun onto the pitch against AEK Athens earlier this month in Greece. The Greek club were also fined and docked 3 points for the shocking incident. The incident occurred after PAOK were denied an injury time goal against the league leaders. After that, the chaos ensued, with Savitas, who was accompanied by his bodyguards, storming the pitch with terrified AEK Athens players darting back to their changing room. Also, a Turkish cup clash between Fenerbahce and Besiktas was abandoned amidst chaotic scenes which saw the visitors' manager Şenol Güneş rushed to hospital for stitches to a head wound. There had already been several stoppages before the match officials took the decision to postpone the fixture in the 58th minute. Early in the second half, Güneş was struck by an object, as sections of the Fenerbahce crowd threw objects at the Besiktas bench including plastic bottles, coins and keychains, leaving him requiring 5 stitches in a head wound and a trip to the hospital. But Turkish officials moved swiftly and 8 suspects were detained on April 23. The detentions, made as part of the investigation conducted by the sports crime branch of the Istanbul Chief Prosecutor's Office, brings the number of detainees to 31. The suspect who reportedly injured Güneş is among the detainees. On why the Nigerian police operatives have been unable to take drastic action like the incidents in Greece and Turkey, Nworim added, what happened at the Dan Anyiam Stadium in Owerri is not a crime, it's sports hooliganism. It's hooliganism of football fans, which has been happening in other places including the international community. After the match ended in a draw, fans were not happy with the officiating and they descended on the match official. Of course, they were immediately rescued and we have 3 suspects that we have arrested and we intend to charge them to court. Copyright Punch. All rights reserved. This material, and other digital content on this website, may not be reproduced, published, broadcast, rewritten or redistributed in whole or in part without prior express written permission from Punch. Contact via email. Protected. Visited 96 times, 11 visits today.